This is Prifchunk, my extreme one-chunk Iron Man. 1 year ago I completed Song of the Elves at the lowest possible level, and since then I have spent over 1,500 hours locked in Prifddinas with the ultimate goal of completing every challenge it has to offer. I have already defeated some serious bosses, grueling skilling challenges, and insane RNG grinds, but with the most difficult tasks still ahead of me, there is no knowing how long this is going to take. Hello and welcome back to Prifddinas. It is finally time to start working on my longest skilling grind, 99 construction. Well, it's almost impossible to estimate how long it will actually take from start to finish, as many of my other grinds feed into construction. I can, however, chop this up into 3 different stages. Stage 1, make money. A lot of money. If I went with the most basic route of making 88,000 mahogany planks, it would cost me over 130 million GP to finish this grind. Luckily, I have access to one of the best bosses for cold hard cash, the Corrupted Gauntlet. By my calculations, an average kill will give me just over 100,000 GP that can easily be used to fund construction. So far, I have completed the Corrupted Gauntlet 600 times, and the only thing I still need is the pet. So if I am unlucky, this grind could fully fund construction. But any one kill and I could be free from the red prison. And I do not want to do any more Corrupted Gauntlet than I absolutely have to. But right now, I do still need to high out what I have so I can see what cash stack I'm working with. And that's all done for now. I did it outside the bank so I didn't scare off any random events, and now I can grab the rest of my cash stack out of the bank to get the final count. And 62 million is a pretty good cash stack, but it's nowhere close to what I need. It's not even halfway there, and I really do not want to have to do 1,200 Corrupted Gauntlets. Luckily, that's where step 2 of the plan comes in, Forestry. And I have done a lot of woodcutting. Mostly on mobile. Anytime I've had spare, I've been clicking that tree. So much that I have banked a grand total of 37,000 yew-logs with my rune axe. That's about 175 hours of cutting yews. And since I last covered woodcutting in an episode, I've gone from level 85 all the way up to 97. And why do I need all these yew-logs? Well, 2 reasons. 1. I'm pretty sure they'll be my best fletching method for my level 87 chunk task to fletch a magic shield, but I'll talk about that more later on. And 2, I want to do as much forestry as possible before I start the construction grind, to stack up that animal bark to buy as many sawmill vouchers as possible. As normally, when you make mahogany planks, you exchange 1 log and 1,500 GP for 1 plank. But if you add in a sawmill voucher, then you get a second plank for free, so half the number of mahogany logs cut, and more importantly, half the gold cost. So, if I can get enough sawmill vouchers, then 62 million is almost exactly the amount of GP I need. And let's face it, I am probably going to have to do a lot more CG to get the pet, but it will also be useful to have a lot of extra GP around in case I come across any ridiculously expensive training methods in the future. With a quick trip over to the Friendly Forester, I can buy my first load of sawmill vouchers. Don't ask me why I decided to only get 4k vouchers right now. It seemed like a good idea at the time, but with my initial supply of anima bark, I can afford a total of 15,000 sawmill vouchers. Not even getting me halfway there. But the fun part is, I'll be doing more forestry while I make the planks, so I'll have another huge supply of bark when I'm done with this first batch. Okay, sawmill vouchers obtained, and I've got one last little bit of setup to do before I can get started. And that is to make the enhanced crystal teleport seed that I pickpocketed from Elves into an eternal teleport crystal, which gives me unlimited teleports to the center of Prif. It will also teleport me to Letia, so let's just swap that left click to Prif to avoid any embarrassing misclicks. I still need to do some testing, but I have high hopes that this teleport should save me a decent amount of time while running back and forth from my house to the sawmill. Now I just need to do a little setup of my house and I can get started. And for now, it's going to stay pretty basic. I'm just adding the dining room where most of the magic is going to happen. And by magic, I mean that I'm going to build and then quickly destroy that same table 15,000 times and become a master of construction, or at least a master of building dining room tables. So now I have all that set up, I can move on to phase 3 of the plan. It's construction. No shit, right? It's a 3-step construction plan and I'm yet to do any actual construction. So it's time to make planks and build stuff. But I am currently level 71 construction, which is only 6% of the way to 99. And as there is so much left to do, I need to do some testing to see what the best training method is. It will take me at least 3,000 trips to my house to finish this grind, so even a 1 tick per trip improvement will save me 30 minutes, so any optimizations that can be made will be well worth it. Right, let's start with what seems like the most simple method to me, although it does have 2 phases. I'm going to start by making a lot of planks, stick them in the bank, and then once I have a decent stack, or potentially once I have all of the planks that I need, I can start construction. I've spent the last 40-ish minutes banking 480 planks, and now it's time to pause the timer, swap over my inventory, and then start building. This setup allows me to bring teleport runes, a hammer, a saw, and exactly enough inventory spaces for 24 planks, the perfect amount to make 4 tables per trip. Sadly, for this method, the teleport crystal won't save me any time, as the path from the teleport location to the banks is only 1 tile less than the path from the house portal to the bank, and 1 less inventory space means that I can no longer build 4 tables. I now have 1 inventory left of the 20 I'm using for this test, and my run energy has just hit 0, which is not too bad, but I'd rather do a lot more than 20 inventories at one time. I could go back to cutting planks when I run out of energy, as the energy restore from Forester's rations means that I will always have full run energy. But there is another way I have of restoring my stats. If I head over to the Gauntlet, all I have to do is enter and then leave straight away, and bam, all my stats are restored to full. Then I can just teleport to my house and continue from there. A quick detour to the Gauntlet every 20 inventories doesn't seem bad at all. And that's the end of this first test. It took me a little bit under an hour to fully process 480 planks, and I think if I did this at full efficiency, I would get around 74,000 construction XP an hour, and I could be done in 165 hours, which is pretty good going to get a 99. Of course, there's no way that I'll actually get it done in 165 hours, as I need to do things like forestry events, and I'm sure there'll be plenty of other distractions, but it should be close enough. And it sets a pretty high bar for the other methods to beat. Okay, time for the second method, and I have everything I could need in my inventory right now, so I'm going to make a full inventory of planks, and then teleport directly to my house to use them. Then, come back here and repeat. I think this should be almost the same as the last method, as I don't really expect to save much travel time. But let's test it and see. One issue with this method is because my bank inventory is so full of other junk, I can't build 4 tables, so I have to end up building 2 tables and 2 benches, but it's not a huge deal. Taking advantage of the eternal teleport crystal here, as this time the path from the teleport is slightly closer, and having it in my inventory doesn't change the number of planks I can efficiently use per trip. Extra benefit of this method is I am never going to run out of run energy because of Forester's rations, meaning that I have a chance to restore my run energy every time I chop a log. So that is at least a mild benefit that I don't have to deal with walking at any point. So I've been testing this for a little bit now, and I've run a few calculations, and this method will get me a grand total of 70,000 XP an hour, which is also pretty good. But let me tell you, I am so relieved that this is not better. It would be a fine method, and I think I could manage with it, but I also think that it wouldn't take too much disruption to ruin the XP an hour. For example, I'm going to get roughly 1,000 crystal shards from chopping trees during this grind, and I want to keep all of those. And with forestry, you often get items that I will want to bank, bird's nests, maybe some seeds, fox whistles, you know, that sort of thing. And losing 1 inventory space during this method will make it very awkward to efficiently use all the planks that I have. And then I'll still have to take a trip to the bank anyway, where with the banking method, it really doesn't change anything if I bank 26 or 25 planks each trip, as they all just go into the stack in the bank to be used up later. So banking the planks remains the forerunner, but I still have 1 more serious strategy left to go, and then a couple of, let's call them meme options, and maybe I'll blow the construction meta wide open, but I doubt it. The next method skips the woodcutting entirely, as by the sawmill there is a mahogany log spawn and a teak plank spawn, but you can only get the plank with telegrab. So the strategy is to telegrab the plank, pick up the log, and then hop worlds. I'll keep on going until making planks with the sawmill vouchers will fill up my inventory, and then teleport to my house, as the runes overlap with telegrab, so it just makes sense. Then I use up my planks and it works pretty well. In theory, this is also around 74,000 XP an hour, just like the banking method, but with no woodcutting, I can't restore run energy, and I'm not getting any more anima bark for additional sawmill vouchers, and I'm pretty sure this would be terrible without the double planks, mostly because it's more world hopping. I would have done this method if it was significantly better, but I'm also willing to do less efficient methods if I can avoid world hopping. Now, mostly for fun, I want to test a couple of meme options and see if they can compete. Can you guess from my inventory what method this is going to be? I have everything I need to make 2 bracelets of clay, which usually makes any clay that you mine into soft clay, saving you from having to manually add water. But here in Prif, we have soft clay rocks, and the bracelet gives you 2 soft clay instead of 1 every time you mine the rock. And then each clay will be worth 10 construction XP when I use them to make boundary stones. I think I know which way this is going to go, but I'll give it 15 minutes and see how it goes, as this is a potentially free construction method, assuming you don't count runes, sapphires, or gold bars as costs. Okay, so 15 minutes later on, and I have gotten almost 4,000 construction XP. So optimistically, this could be 15,000 XP an hour. I have used methods worse than this before, but it would take 1,000 hours to get to 99, so I'm glad I don't have to do this one. I'm sure I could optimize this a bit, but not the 5 times improvement it needs to keep up with the other methods. So for now, this is definitely a meme. Okay, so I may be scraping the bottom of the barrel here, but you can buy bolts of cloth from the sawmill and use them directly to build rugs. Buying them instead of collecting resources myself could save me a lot of time. Each bolt is worth 15 construction XP and costs 650 GP, which is 4 times more expensive than mahogany planks, 8 times more expensive if you use a sawmill voucher. So it's going to have to be insanely good XP per hour to be viable. And I must admit, I was surprised to find out that it comes in at 28,000 XP an hour. I thought it would be way worse than that, but this is both much slower and much more expensive, so we do not have a winner. So that settles it. I'm going to cut and bank all of the planks that I need, and then do all of the actual construction afterwards. Which maybe you could tell during my testing was what I wanted to do anyway, as you get the dopamine from watching a massive stack of planks grow in your bank, and probably drastically inflate my bank value. And then I get to double up on the dopamine with really big XP rates from the construction alone. It's going to be way worse than an unrestricted account can achieve, but it's still going to be so good. So it's time to get on with it. Those 88,000 planks are not going to cut themselves. Way coming in with 98 woodcutting. 1 more to go and I will be 99, and I will still be woodcutting because there is so much woodcutting to be done. Still excited to get my first 99 on this account, but also I have so much more to do. Oh shit. Oh, hello guys. We have just finished our forestry collection log. Hello.
Oh, are you recording us? Are we doing a soup thing?
We might be.
Oh,
I
no.
just got a golden pheasant egg, nearly 99 wood cutting. That is finally the last thing I need from the forestry log. Cannot believe that I almost had to get 99 wood cutting to complete it, but that is everything possible with the trees in Prifddinas. So, chunk task complete. Another benefit of this method is I'm going to spend a lot of time running past these farming patches, giving me the perfect opportunity to start working my way through the seeds that I got from killing 12,000 moss giants. Starting off with the watermelon seeds so I can use them for super compost, and then I can work on the snake grass, and hopefully super compost can keep them alive. Also, would it have killed Jagex to put a herb patch here? I feel like if they redid Prif now, there would definitely be a herb patch. But it would have been so good to get a decent head start on some of the Herblore grinds waiting for me once I leave Prif. At least I get to start stacking up the secondaries like limpwort roots and snape grass. And this is why we do the farming with the wood cutting, because I quickly drop a plank, I can get some plant here, and I get to save my plants rather than just coming back to them being dead. It's a huge benefit to being over here and getting to not waste any of my seeds. Or at least as few as I can possibly manage. I am starting to get a decent stack of planks in the bank, 17,000 is around 20% of the way to my final goal, and I want to talk about the other two skills related to woodcutting, fletching and firemaking. As I mentioned in the intro, I cut 37,000 yew logs for my fletching goal, but I don't have the 65 fletching required to use them. And it's time to change that. I want to find out if I already have enough to finish the grind, or if I'm going to get any more anima bark from chopping more logs. It's been quite a long time since I talked about fletching, so let's recap what I've done. Between level 1 and 46, the only logs I have available for fletching are regular logs. And with feathers being slow to farm, I actually ended up making a lot of completely useless javelins to level up fletching. I feel like it worked out quite well, as it was good to do something other than make plate bodies while training smithing. And 46 is where I stopped, as I was just trying to unlock the ability to use teak logs to tick manipulate by mining. Since then, while working on my stack of yew logs, I've taken breaks to cut teak trees and fletch them, sometimes dropping them, but what worked out even better was fletching them into stocks while running to the bank, and then turning them into steel crossbows unstrung, tripling the XP I can get from each log, and getting to use my smithing training for something useful. But they have remained unstrung, as the last step isn't that much more XP, and my method for making the crossbow strings is pretty slow. I need to buy meats from the food shop, then cook it into sinew, teleport to my house as it's very close to the spinning wheel, and then spin it into a crossbow string. It's all quite a lot of effort, especially as I'd have to world hop for the meats. So with that sorted and over 2,000 half-made crossbows in the bank, the next big milestone is at 61 fletching, where I can actually start to make something useful. Well, maybe. The fact I have a bow fur makes these pretty useless for a while, but now I can start to make adamant bolts, and the plan is to make a nice little supply of ruby and diamond bolts, and maybe one day I'll find some place to use them. But right now, I'm just going to enjoy the copium of pretending it's something useful. And this is where my fletching training really stalled out, as I didn't have enough feathers to get to level 65 and start using the yew logs. So this is where I've been sat for about 6 months while I've been waiting for one of 3 things to happen. Either I'll get some feathers from a maze random event, or get bored enough to spend a few hours killing chickens, or I'll get enough XP from forestry events. It's now a few months later, and I did a little bit of all 3 methods, so I am sat at 64 fletching, and I managed to rustle up enough feathers to make 7,000 adamant bolts. At this rate, I kind of hope they're not useful, as 7,000 bolts will be gone in no time without an Ava's device. But adding ruby bolt tips to these bolts is more than enough XP to get me to 65, where I can start making yew short bows. 65 fletching. I can now make yew short bows and diamond tipped adamant bolts, and I am going to make both of those once I'm finished with these. So obviously I think it's worth finishing off these adamant bolts. As I said, I've already used the feathers, so I may as well get what I can out of them, and I'll move on to diamond because it's slightly better XP, and I have way more gems from the corrupted gauntlet than I ever plan on using. I'm going to use up these last 3,000 bolts, and then I'll move on to cutting my yew logs into yew short bows. If I had the supplies, I would make bolts all the way to level 70, as it would allow me to squeeze a little more XP out of each yew log when I start making yew longbows. But the XP gain is so small that it's not worth waiting to level 70 to start using them. Here is the end of my adamant bolts. Well, I've got 1 left, but I'll leave that for now. Made some decent progress halfway through level 65, but it is time to start going on this giant stack of yew logs. This is going to take quite a long time, I think. 2,000 short bows made, and I'm going to start stringing them because it's quite easy to get bowstrings, and this way I can use as few of the logs as possible to get to level 70 to start the longbows. I've not shown you yet how I get bowstrings in Prif. It's actually very convenient. I have the closest flax to a bank, and the spinning wheel is pretty close too. I'm not really sure who this is here for, as if you have completed Song of the Elves, you should have progressed past picking flax. So maybe this method is just for me. It's a nice mindless thing to do sometimes, and it's quite a lot quicker than cutting yew logs, which begs the question why I haven't calculated the number of logs and strings I need to get to my goal and just get that exact number. Well, there's 2 reasons. I know I keep banging on about it, but I want anima bark, and also I'm pretty likely to get a 95 fletching goal as soon as I leave Prif. This way I'll have a lot of unstrung bows ready to go, and I can just quickly make the strings. Pre-planning like this can potentially backfire, as I have no idea which order I'm going to unlock these grinds, but the chances are pretty good that I'm going to be getting 95 fletching with yew longbows. Also, I have never heard the fletching sound before. Boing, flip. That's going to have to go off pretty soon, but for now I find it kind of funny. Boing, flip. 69 fletching. That's rune crossbows. Is it time to make an upgrade? Never mind. I am nowhere close to the smithing level for runite limbs. 70 fletching. I can now make yew longbows. So it's time to make 30,000 of them. And 84 fletching, 3 levels until my chunk task, and this is going to be the last one for now, because I am hoping to get a few thousand more feathers from random events. And I also have a few hundred onyx bolt tips from Volcano, and I expect that number to go up quite a lot by the time I'm done here. I'd really like to make them all into onyx bolts, probably just to keep, as they have the special effect of healing you when they do damage. Sometimes. It averages out to about 2% of the damage you deal. So while they don't sound good, they could be helpful in some niche situations. But they are also worth a lot of money if I ever need it. Right now, I can't smith the runite bolts I need for them, so I'm going to have to wait until I train smithing some more. And also, I still have firemaking to do. Once firemaking is done, I will use up my remaining supplies, and then I'll probably just wait and see how many feathers I end up with after a few more months in Prif. I have been training my farming for my chunk task of level 74 to plant a crystal tree, here at the allotment patch. I got level 71 with forestry events already, and I plan to get the other 3 levels with the seeds I got from moss giants. But I ended up in the food shop here and noticed that I can actually buy all of the ingredients I need for a garden pie, which will give me a +3 farming boost. So if I'm correct, I should be able to complete my chunk task right now. So let me grab a few things out of the bank and I should be able to get this done. I have 2 ways of getting crystal acorns. The first is from the elven crystal chest, which I've opened 13 times now, but I have not seen any acorns. And the second is to trade crystal weapon, armor, or tool seeds to Pennant in exchange for 1 crystal acorn. I do actually have spares of all 3 of these, but considering their prices, there's only one that I'm willing to trade. So I'm going to take my 20 extra weapon seeds to Pennant to get my starting supply of acorns, and I expect I'll end up with a few more of these before I'm done in the corrupted gauntlet. Now I have the acorns, I need to grab some plant pots and tools, and then make the pie before I can plant the acorns. I'll grab everything I need from the food shop for the pie, and I am ready to go with 20 crystal saplings. I can plant the first of these right now, and then I'll be back in 8 hours to collect my rewards and complete this chunk task. Right, time to go check on my first crystal tree. I think I have everything I need to harvest it and plant another one, but we shall see. Yeah, 13,000. My god, that's so much XP. And then we cut it down into 25 crystal shards. It's beautiful. And obviously, I don't have the level, but it's nice that I can cut it down without the level. And then I obviously forgot the super compost. But that looks like we are fully set up and ready to farm these things till I run out of crystal weapon seeds, which won't actually take very long, which is kind of sad, but huge farming XP until then. And I'll probably even get nicely to my actual goal without the boost by the end of this, which would be nice because, you know, however good boosts are, it's nice to actually get the level. So that's chunk task complete, to grow a crystal tree. And I think it's worth taking a second to talk about farming on this account, because many chunk accounts put farming onto passive, where it's still technically a chunk task, but they will continue to roll new chunks even if it's incomplete. And it makes a lot of sense when all you can do to progress is log in once an hour to do a farm run, and then log out. But since I'm starting here with allotments and the crystal tree patch, I don't think it's reasonable for me to ever put farming on passive. Realistically, the hardest farming challenge I will have to deal with are either 81 to grow a dragon fruit tree in Letia or the Tree Gnome Stronghold, or 85 to grow a torstal in Ardi, and the boost will work with these two, so really it's only 82. So even after I get to 74, I need to make sure I keep up the farm runs and plant my crystal acorns so that I'm never in the situation where I have to put farming on passive. And 72 farming. How many trees to the next level? It looks like it's only going to be around 6. These levels are going to fly up for like 2 weeks. Then I'm going to run out of acorns and just be stuck with whatever flower and allotment seeds I have left. But it's going to be fun while they last. And I'm back at my favorite woodcutting spot. Not because I want more yew logs, but because it's finally time to get 99 woodcutting. The first 99 on the account. And I am not even close to being done with this skill. The Chunk clan chat is always great for big milestones for this, and thanks to everyone who came and hung out on the stream for this one. Just try not to think about how long it's been since that stream. And of course, for the after party, we headed down into Volcano. And I have been streaming Volcano twice a week since then, doing small teams with the community, and I have 2 goals left at Volcano. 1, I need the pet, and 2, I need to get 99 smithing. And I believe that small teams Volcano is my best method for banking smithing supplies. And even if it's not, it's pretty close. But as I need the pet anyway, it's a pretty good place to be. Last time I covered Volcano, I got to 3,300 kill count in the mass worlds and got enough supplies to get to 86 smithing. The main goal of that was to make a rune axe so I could do all of this woodcutting. 86 is only a little bit over a quarter of the way to level 99. So there's a lot of Volcano left to do, and I should have a pretty good chance of getting the pet before I bank 99 smithing. So time for a quick rundown of what's been going on. Oh shit, 59 prayer. That's huge. That's probably the last prayer level I'm going to get before I leave Prif, as Volcano should be my only source of prayer XP going forwards. Onyx bolt tips for the 3,500 Volcano. We're getting pretty dry on the pet now, but doesn't really matter. Ooh, 51 rune crowd. Oh, fucking, that's 87 smithing. That is my first smithing level in over 6 months. Yes! Soul Herder. It's about time. I'll probably have to go and work out how many kills that's actually been on stream, but huge. That was the first crystal tool seed we saw on stream at 400 kill count, so 2 times dry as a team. Not the best luck. Is someone doing something stupid? Ooh, 52 rune crafting. Don't get those every day, but they are coming in pretty quick. Now I'm doing quite a lot of Volcano each week. 85 mining, that's pretty big. Especially as I've not really put much effort into mining. It's mostly been Volcano. Ooh, did we get something? Huge Gratzanobo. Tool seed for one of my YouTube members there. Some people say that liking and subscribing will increase your drop rate at Volcano. The big 4,000. Never lucky. More pure essence. Ooh. Hello. That is my first unique in like 2,200 kills. It's not good. There is nothing good about the Volcano shard, but hello. Ooh, look at that. Get out of the way, Morton. You're in my loot beam. Beautiful. And I'm coming in with 2 times the pet drop rate. I totally didn't miss this by 1 kill. I think 1,200 kills is enough Volcano for now, and I will cover all of the supplies I'm stacking up when I start to process them. But the big items from the 12,000 kills I've done on stream are 16,000 steel bars, 10,000 mithril bars, 16,000 coal, and 16,000 gold ore, which is roughly 2 million XP banked, enough to get me to 91 smithing, with still a long way to go. Obviously, I didn't get the pet in that time, but neither did anyone who joined the team. And with an average of 5 people, that's a total of 6,000 kills. So not only am I 2 times dry, but the team is almost 3 times dry as well. All right, big milestone coming in here. I've been woodcutting and making planks for quite a long time, and I now have 20... Oh, this positive one. I now have 20,000... No, I don't. Scrap this. Abort, abort. I'll be back in a second. This time I've got 20,000 planks banked, which is huge. It's actually about a quarter of the way, maybe slightly under a quarter of the way to level 99. But there's another big number that I'm more excited about right now. My bank value is currently sitting at 950 mil, and I'm just watching it crawl up towards 1 bill. With a little luck from CG, I could get there very soon. It won't actually mean anything, and it's like 70% enhanced crystal weapon seeds. I still really want to see that big number. The farm runs continue, and here is 73 farming. One more until I can scrap the garden pies, which will be a nice little quality of life upgrade. And here we go. Deposit everything. 1 bill bank value. Absolutely crazy. I'm not really expecting it to hang around for too long. It should go down pretty quick when the proper construction starts. Big moment for me here, as I believe when I check this crystal tree, I will get 74 farming. So I now have the level to farm these things naturally without the boost. So here we go. And I can also do the highest tier of tithe farm. There we go. And planted. And I always forget the super compost for these. I was obviously done with my farming grind before, but now I can just do it without the pies, which feels really good. And I obviously want to continue planting as many crystal seeds as I can while I'm here, just so I'm ready for the future farming grinds. Huge milestone coming up here. I am pretty close to being out of my sawmill vouchers, but what we do have here is 30,000 mahogany planks. I now have 4.2 million banked XP, enough to get me to level 89, almost level 90. So I both have a hell of a lot of planks banked and a hell of a lot more planks to bank. Right, with this inventory of planks, I've got a little bit of a milestone in the form of 1 sawmill voucher left. So I've made my way through about 15,000 of the things, and it's time to go and see what we can buy with the anima bark that I have made since cutting all of those logs. So if I look into my forestry kit, I have got another 91,000 anima and fused bark, which I think will come to about another 6,000 sawmill vouchers. But we will see as we come down and buy them. So let's keep on going until it stops. Yeah, 6,701. So made my way through the first 15,000, profited another 6,000 in the process of using those up, and now it's time to make my way through them. That should take me close to 44,000 planks, so maybe not as many as I'd hoped from sawmill vouchers, but I'm fine with that. It's not too bad to AFK a little longer at mahogany trees. And in the process of using these 6,000 vouchers, I'll get a few more and then continue that forever, like a little pyramid scheme. All right, next little milestone, 40,000 planks, 44 to 48,000 left to go. Yay. Well, wasn't expecting that level right now, but whatever, we take them. Nice little 60 fishing from a random event. Fishing may be my favorite skill on this account. 60 fishing with 0 fish caught outside the Gauntlet. It's that or my 56 rune crafting exclusively from Volcano. They're both pretty great. From time to time, I still like spending time here killing elves. It's my best Herblore XP and my best chance of getting crystal keys. And it's slightly more AFK than cutting trees. But right now, my banked XP plugin is telling me that I am pretty close to my Herblore goal of 72. So, I think it's time to do some Herblore and see how far we can get. The grind that I have to do in Prif doesn't sound that bad at surface level. I need to get level 72 to make a dwarf weed potion unfinished. That's around 1.5 levels or 120,000 XP since the rewards from Song of the Elves. But the XP per hour is terrible. I can only get herbs from killing one of these very tanky monsters, and the XP per kill ranges from 2 to 6. Now I have a Bofa, I can bank almost 1,000 XP an hour from killing elves, but that is still over 100 hours to get less than 2 levels. Since I have arrived in Prif, I have made 0 potions. I've got some XP passively from the Gauntlet, but my 600 kills have only gotten me around 30,000 XP. Basically, all of the other Herblore XP I've received is from lamps, with a tiny bit of XP from cleaning the herbs as I get them as drops, leaving me with around 33,000 XP left to my goal. And according to my banked XP plugin, I should have about that much in the bank from killing 12,000 moss giants, a handful of water fiends, and maybe 2,000 elves. So it's finally time to do some real Herblore. And there is at least one thing I have going for me, which is the Herblore shop here, that will sell me vials of water and eyes of newts. Without the shop, I would have to make my own vials or grind them from water fiends, and the eye of newt is an ingredient for 2 of the potions that I can actually make. And which of the 69 potions in the game will I actually be making? Well, with the herbs and secondary ingredients currently available to me, I can make a total of 9 different potions. 6 that boost my attack or strength in various ways, which will all be helpful if I can bring myself to use melee instead of my bofa. Then there are energy potions. These kind of suck, but it's better than walking. Fishing potions in case I find myself ever doing actual fishing. And then the most important, prayer potions. Essential for any serious combat grinds in my future, like a certain swamp snake lurking nearby. And other than the hundreds of hours of combat it's taken me to grind this pitiful supply of herbs, I still need to source secondary ingredients for all of them. The Eye of Newt for attack and super attack potions can be brought from the Herblore shop, and likewise the chocolate for energy potions can be brought from the food shop. These potions are by far my favourite. Then I need limpwort roots for strength and super strength potions. For these, I have to get seeds from moss giants and then grow them myself. I have a few hundred right now, but I have no desire to go back to moss giants. And unfortunately, the snakegrass situation is the same for prayer and fishing potions. I have some seeds from moss giants, but they'll only go so far. Hopefully, by the time I need more of these, I will have found a much better source of seeds. And finally, the divine super attack and strength potions are made by adding crystal dust to super attack and super strength potions. You make 10 crystal dust by using a pestle and mortar on a crystal shard. I have a pretty good supply of crystal shards, but the XP for making these is terrible. It's 0.5 XP per dose, so they are really not worth making for the experience. But they are the best attack and strength potions in the game, so I am sure I will want them one day. So it's time to finally make some potions. This is what I'm working with right now. It's pretty pathetic considering the 200 hours of killing moss giants. And I am definitely quite worried about the future Herblore grinds, as there are a few tough ones around me and no good sources of herbs for quite a long time. I thought that Zulrah might solve my problems, but it's either too slow or impossible for me to get the secondaries for most of these herbs. And Zulrah itself gives a 94 Herblore grind to make an anti-venom plus. I have done a lot of searching, and the closest chunk with an actually good source of herbs is the Chaos Druid Tower over by Ardi, and that is still pretty far away. So once I get there, I will probably be doing a pretty serious Herblore grind. Well, I was close at least. 615 XP to go. That's only 1 lamp to my final chunk goal. Although I have no plans to stop lamping Herblore. And all of the remaining herbs I unfortunately cannot process as I don't have the secondaries for them right now, but hopefully one day I can cash in on them for some XP. And these are all the potions I have made for now. The highlight is obviously 55 prayer potions, and I'm sure they'll get used in the future. And now I just need to wait for that last XP from somewhere. It will probably be the next time I get a lamp. Or maybe I'll find it in CG, perfectly planned and at the ideal time, just like normal. That is the level for my chunk task. But while I'm over here, maybe it's time for a nice little CG update. I'm starting out with 650 kills and a PB of exactly 9 minutes. All I need now for the green log is the pet, and I can leave CG forever and never come back. Oh, and sorry to any dry iron men out there for hogging all the enhanced weapon seeds. I would trade 3 of them for a pet if I could. Starting off with level 78 strength. Now I have completed my chunk task of level 80 attack, its strength all the way to 99. Although I basically just melee the rats at the start of CG prep, so I don't expect many more of these. Last kill, I managed to get a new PB, shaved 4 seconds off my time, and as I am a professional, didn't notice until now. I will need to beat this by about 2.5 minutes to get all the combat achievements, but right now my focus is on consistency and not speed. 800 kills. Pretty sure that guarantees me the pet, right? And it would have been good if I got it. Only actually a 2/3 chance of getting the pet by now, so it's not really time to start complaining yet. And well, I have been spooned in other ways. Right, so a pigeon just flew through my door. Be right back. I managed to shoo it outside before the dog saw it and tried to eat it. And only took 1 hit. That's a win. Crystal armor seed. Clearly the pigeon tech works. Alright. Pigeons. Clearly a new strategy. I may be a bit late to the party on this one, but I finally have the plugin that gives a proper window. Should be a bit easier to see what I get now. Okay, well, big milestone here. 900 corrupted gauntlets. Can we get anything? No. I really should stop it interrupting me when I level up, as that one nearly killed me. But 89 range, because I have been here forever. I may have skipped a few levels, because otherwise it would be even more of a level up montage. Huge new personal best there. I had a really good prep, so I went a bit sweatier on the boss kill than usual, and I took off almost 30 seconds for the kill. Kind of crazy. Now, can I be rewarded for it? No. Terrible loot. But anyway, that is a absolutely huge new PB. Hopefully I can get a few more of those. Right, hot take time. I have now got 961 kill count. That is 400 kills since my last enhanced crystal weapon seed. So, does that mean I'm dry? Am I now dry at the Gauntlet after having 400 kills with no enhanced? Would have been a perfect time to get an enhanced. Never lucky. But yeah, dry again at the Gauntlet, clearly. Definitely not rage bait. 86 defense and 91 hit points. I am getting tanky. 67 cooking. I still need to work on my 95 cooking task at some point, so anything I can get from CG is a very nice bonus. 61 fishing and 1725 total level. And there is 1,000 corrupted gauntlet finally done. Can I get a reward for this nice milestone? No. It isn't nice to be dry on both the pets I need in Prifddinas. I have a 71% chance of getting the young lift by now and an 86% chance of getting the small Volcano. Neither are too bad, but both together is getting a bit painful. And speaking of pets, I'm now at 15 million woodcutting XP, and there isn't a beaver in sight. To be honest, I don't think I'm that close to the drop rate of the beaver, and I have no idea how to work out the chances. But a new friend would certainly lessen the pain of being dry for the other two. 75 farming, and this is going to be my last crystal. I didn't bring a spade. Right, so this will be my final crystal sapling from all of the weapon seeds that I've got from the Gauntlet. I'm sure I'll get some more over time. But once this is grown, I think I can get some more. Whether or not it's going to be worth it is a whole other question, but I have to at least test it out. So I'll be back in a little bit once this one has grown. There is the last sawmill voucher from that batch. I now have 45,000 planks, and it's time to see how many I earned from the last 6,000. But it's also time to catch in on all of the extra pheasant eggs, beehive parts, petal garlands, fox whistles, and golden pheasant eggs. All of them can be sold to the Freaky Forester, and they're doing nothing for me sat in the bank. So I can get 150 for the garlands and 250 for the eggs and whistles. For a total of 120 vouchers for all of those. It seems like a bit of a scam, but I guess it's better than nothing. Then I can sell all the other parts in for over 16,000. That's an extra 1,000 sawmill vouchers, which sounds quite good, but that is the loot from about 15 million woodcutting. Obviously, the vast majority just comes from the events themselves, as I'm still coming away with almost 3,500 sawmill vouchers, and the pyramid scheme lives on. Maze randoms may not give lamps, but they're still pretty good for the chance of getting feathers. There we go, 2,000 feathers. That's like 40,000 fletching XP right there if I turn them into onyx bolts. Well, it's been around a week since I got 15 million XP, and I've just hit 50,000 planks and just over 16 million woodcutting. And I may be going a bit stir crazy, so I have taken to exploring a little bit. But none of the elves really want to talk to me, and even Elena barely has anything to say to me. Although they did give her the only double bed in Prif, and apparently their ways of doing things are unlike anything she's seen before. The clan leaders have a little more to say, but mostly just point you towards different activities in Prif. I thought the exoskeleton lady was going to tell me a story, but instead she just sent me off to the library to read them myself. Which I guess is fine. I can learn things like Skatizo and Volcano are brother and sister, but it would be way more fun if they integrated some of this lore into the city itself. I even tried to search the drawers to see if there was one of those ones that have a 1 in 1,000 chance of dropping a red topaz, but no luck. I think the best thing I found was the Elven Clothes shop, which obviously has the recolors for the crystal armor. Do let me know what color I should make mine, by the way. And the crystal crown, which thankfully is not a task, but also has a few pieces of unique elven clothing. The yellow versions are pretty questionable, but I really like the white one with the arm straps. Where else can you find gloves with no stats that weigh almost 5 kilograms? Granite gloves weigh 1 kilogram for reference. Well, that's enough fun for now. It's been another 7 days and I have hit 17 million woodcutting XP. With my setup, I'm probably looking at about 35,000 XP an hour, plus banking and making planks. So that's barely even a full-time job. I also ran out of vouchers again, so I'm doing a bit without to let my anima bark refresh, although I can already feel my cash stack depleting way faster. And to go with the 18 million woodcutting XP is 60,000 planks. Roughly 1,000 more and I will have 96 construction banked, and around 28,000 left to 99. So I'm only just over 2/3 of the way there. And then 4 days later, 18 million woodcutting XP. This time, a bit more than a full-time job. But if the 37,000 yew logs and 12,000 moss giants didn't give it away, I love an AFK grind. At least gives me some chance of doing my actual job. And I'm really getting to the dregs now. 250 vouchers. I think the well may have run dry, but the vouchers did their job and probably saved me around 45 million GP and a lot of time woodcutting. So with the end of the vouchers, it's time to actually finish off the other woodcutting related grind that I have been avoiding for so long. Let's quickly cover some firemaking. And it's about as interesting as you would think. I started in Prif at level 1, and there really aren't many options of what to do, so I burnt regular logs until level 35 when I could burn teaks, and then I mostly burnt teak logs until I got to 60, well, 61. As around the time I hit level 60, campfires were updated to give full XP, and I wanted to spend some time to see if I liked using campfires at the same time as cutting the logs. But the combination of the quite AFK woodcutting and the very AFK firemaking just made this way too inconsistent and boring. And the plan is to get the rest of the levels using the yew logs I have in my bank. So I'm just going to spend a few days rolling logs into this campfire, get to level 75, and then hopefully not think about woodcutting again until I reach the skill cape chunk, which is not that far away. Okay, last log here onto the bonfire. And 75 firemaking. I can now burn magic logs, which is exactly what I'm going to do. Grab one of these out and chunk task complete. That is the end of firemaking for quite a long time, I'm quite happy to say. And I think I did actually leave myself almost the exact number of yew logs I needed after I did my fletching grind before. So time to move on to putting the bowstrings onto the yew longbows, and I will come back after that and see how close to the fletching grind I am once I've made my 5,000 yew longbows. And then I can decide if I want to cut a few more yew logs or grind out a few more bowstrings. It's quite a lot quicker, I think. All right, time for 5,000 yew longbows. It wasn't till later on when I started my cooking grind that I discovered some fun interactions with Forester's campfires that may be unique to this bank, but you can actually use them diagonally. So with a campfire set up just here, it means that I can cook and do firemaking without moving at all. There are very few places in the game where you can do this. Only 3 that I can think of for cooking, and none for firemaking. Obviously this takes some upkeep, but campfires last for up to 3 minutes without any new logs, and as you can see, I can use an alt for easy upkeep. And just to demonstrate, here's my alt doing firemaking from the bank as well.
Level up, completed.
85 fletching, 2 more levels to go until I can make a magic shield for my chunk task. And I can make magic longbows, which are actually pretty useful as they have a spec that always hits. And I may as well also make a magic short bow as well. It fires quicker than a bowfur, so it could have some uses, maybe for grinding the Goblin Champion scroll or something like that. And then the magic longbow, which is also a diary task to fletch a magic longbow into Radwin. So, chunk task complete. Here is my last inventory of bowstrings, which basically taps me out of all my fletching supplies, with around 450,000 XP left at 87, which is not a small amount, but I have 26,000 yew longbows unstrung, and I could easily complete the grind by making strings for a few thousand of them, or I could cut some more yew logs for extra sawmill vouchers. But I don't really want to do any of those right now, as I'm in no rush to complete this grind, as it doesn't unlock anything useful for me to use in Prif. So I'm just going to wait and see how many feathers I can get from random events, and use them to make onyx bolts when I get the smithing level. I already have over 9,000 feathers, which is almost 200,000 XP, and I still have a long time left in Prif. So I have run out of crystal weapon seeds to turn into crystal acorns, but there is one extra source that I can take advantage of, but it is a little bit expensive. I can buy crystal shields for 750,000 GP, which is at least cheaper than the crystal bows at 900,000 GP. And what I can do with the crystal shield is revert it, lose any charges it has, and dismantle it into a crystal weapon seed, as it doesn't care if it was bought for gold or made from a seed, and allowing me to trade it dependent for another crystal acorn. So, for the low price of 750,000 GP, I can buy as many crystal acorns as I like, which will give me 13,240 farming XP and around 25 crystal shards, which I will probably eventually convert into 2,500 crafting and smithing XP. So, some quick maths tells me it will cost me around 50 GP per XP, just not a good rate, but I have seen worse. And the good thing about this is I will never have to put farming on passive, as I can use this to get 40,000 XP a day. The bad thing is I've already spent almost all of my cash on construction. So for now, I think I'll keep this strategy in my pocket until after I've finished construction, and maybe until after I've finished CG, as who knows how many weapon seeds I'll get before I get the pet, and then I will know exactly how rich CG made me. And I already finished my actual farming grind, so I'm not in any kind of rush. 19 million woodcutting XP. And I have also hit 98 construction banked. That is over 10 million XP in mahogany planks there, coming in at a value of 155 million GP, with my total bank value at 1.06 bill. And I think now is the time to start whittling this down, trade my construction up to 98, and then build out whatever a max house looks like when you are locked to Prif, and then go back and get the exact number of planks I need for 99 construction. But that can wait for next time. I've done around 80% of the construction grind in this video, and it may not feel that way as I didn't get a single level, but that's the slow part done, and I'm going to be getting like 300,000 XP an hour for the rest of the grind, so I'm going to get it done pretty quick. Now, before I go, I thought I should do a quick update on the progress I've made so far. Today, alongside the planks, I've completed all of these tasks. I've got a lot of the smaller miscellaneous grinds done, and I'm on the home stretch. Oh, and I never actually made the potion to complete my Herblore task as I was distracted by CG, so here is a dwarf weed potion unfinished. Chunk task complete. I really can't predict how long it's going to take, as everything really depends on how long I go dry for the pets. But let's have a quick look at my remaining tasks. 99 construction, it's not done, but we've got a plan. 95 cooking is one of the worst grinds I have left, but I can make cakes in my house for pretty good XP, but it would be a bit of a shame to not get any food out of the cooking grind. 87 crafting to make an empty light orb. I'm at 82 right now, and I'm not concerned at all. I plan to use a lot of crystal shards in order to finish off my smithing grind, and that comes with equal crafting XP. So I think this one will kind of solve itself. We sort of did most of the 87 fletching grind, and now I'm just waiting around and hoping to get enough feathers. 87 magic. I have this level from doing so much Gauntlet, but I can't make the bolts yet, so once smithing is done, this one is free. 90 mining will come passively from Volcano, and 99 smithing, well, I'm working on it. And that's all the skilling grinds I have left, but there's a few other tasks as well. Get a rune mace, as it's my best in slot prayer item. Probably should have done this by now, and it'll only take 30 seconds. I could buy it from the mace shop in Prif, but as I got the level to smith it in this episode, I really should make my own. Chunk task complete. And that's all I have left. It seems manageable, and I've been working towards these goals for around a year, but there are some serious grinds left. And also, my two biggest RNG grinds are still incomplete. That is everything for today. Thank you everyone for watching. I hope you liked this extra long episode, as there was a lot of progress to cover, but I like to think I got a lot done in it. And finally, a big shout out to the channel members and everyone who's been supporting me over on Twitch, and I'll see you all next time.